All right, Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu met with the Senate GOP conference yesterday, went right after Schumer, calling it inappropriate, outrageous, and other things. Let's talk about it with Senate Republican Whip, our friend John Thune of South Dakota. Senator Thune, thank you, sir. I mean, judging from the reports, you were there, and I'd like a blow-by-blow description, but Netanyahu really took off on Schumer, and I'm sure you saw, Senator Thune, today, former Senator Joe Lieberman, Democrat, then independent, I guess you'd say, he took off after Schumer also. I mean, I just don't understand it, but what did Netanyahu say?
Well, I mean, he got asked the question about it, Larry, and he just responded very candidly. I mean, what else can you say? You have American leaders, from the majority leader in the United States Senate to the president, basically telling a Democrat ally of the United States, calling for regime change, telling them that they need to have an election and elect a new leader. That is wildly inappropriate, and obviously he acknowledged that, and he didn't run into any resistance in the room, because that's what we all believe. I think that the Schumer and Biden have been way out of their lane in the things that they've been saying, and not only with respect to trying to call for elections in Israel, but also telling them how to win the war there, how to defeat Hamas. That's not something that the majority leader of the United States Senate or the President of the United States ought to be doing. Senator
Thune, I'm just going to read you from Joe Lieberman's column in the Journal today, which just struck me because, Senator Lieberman, Jewish, friendly with Schumer, they were colleagues for many years. So he said, quoting from Schumer, if Netanyahu remains in power, quote, then the U.S. will have no choice but to play a more active role in shaping Israel's policy by using our leverage to change the present course. I mean, it's like Schumer telling Netanyahu, we're going to run Israel. You can't do that. Nobody can do that.
No, you sure can't, and especially a country that just 167 days ago was viciously attacked by Hamas, nearly 1,200 casualties. They still have 130 hostages that they're holding there, and terrorists surrounding them. They've got Hezbollah in the north, and they've got Hamas and the Houthis and these militias that are operating, Iranian militias operating in Iraq and Syria. And by the way, we have 3,400 Americans serving there who have been attacked 170 times by these Iranian-backed militias. Israel is surrounded by terrorist organizations, and Hamas is the worst of those, and they have got to defeat and eliminate them. We need to give them the space to do that. Israel obviously is trying to minimize civilian casualties. The casualties, many of them that are occurring there, because Hamas uses their own citizens as human shields. We all know that. So this is not this is totally out of line, and it's irresponsible rhetoric on the part of the President of the United States and the Majority Leader of the United States Senate.
Senator Thune, on this point that you just mentioned, on the casualty point, okay, why is it the Biden administration is now using the Hamas so-called Gaza hospital numbers, okay, of casualties for men, for women, for children? Now, why would anybody believe those characters? Those numbers have proven to be false. Israel has vastly different numbers, and Israel's toll on so-called civilians is much, much, much lower than what obviously Hamas is reporting. Why is Biden, why is Blinken, why are all these guys using these Hamas numbers when you know they're phony?
Well, I think, Larry, it has entirely to do with domestic politics. I think in the United States, they're looking at the electoral map, and they're, concerned about Palestinian votes in some of these key states. And their political left in this country is sympathetic to Hamas. I mean, there's no way, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You look at these college campuses. It's crazy. It really is. But I think that's what the mischaracterization of all those things and the use of data, which is wrong data, and the fact that they would trust Hamas says a lot right there about, whose side they're really on in this.
And Senator Thune, last one, 30 seconds, sir. Reports today, the U.S. is going to submit new draft resolution to the UN calling for an immediate ceasefire between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. An immediate ceasefire, not even a negotiated one. What is that?
Well, again, it's trying to tell Israel how to succeed in winning this war. And remember, they were attacked by Hamas, not the other way around.
Yeah.
So they ought to have a say in any kind of ceasefire negotiation that goes on over there. Again, this is just unnecessary meddling in the affairs of a close ally and friend who is trying to defeat a terrorist organization on their border that just 67 days ago attacked them and killed 1,200 Israelis.
Yes, sir. Senator Thune, it's a pleasure, sir. You've been dodging us these recent years. I'm glad to have you back.
Thanks, Larry.
It's
Always
great.
good to be with you.
It's great to see you, sir. Absolutely. Great
Thank
to
you.
have you. Thank you very much.